and welcome back to the Popshock podcast. I don't know what episode we're on at this point, so that's always a fun one.
Season 2, episode 2.
Season 2, episode 2?
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 2.
We were doing season 2.
We've decided this. Hello, I'm back. It's been a while.
He's alive.
Hi, Massimo.
I'm Massimo, if you don't know that already, and our loyal 2 viewers. Today I am joined, by always, by Chris.
Woo! Hello.
Chris.
You're alive.
Dan, the man.
We lost those 2 viewers a long time ago. They're dead.
Aye, they're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah.
And of course, our
Phil I used to work with. Yeah.
and of course, our correspondent live from Ireland. It's Jerd.
Sláinte.
Whee!
Like, maybe the first time I haven't said what's the crack.
It's a new year, a new season, and a new Jerd. On this episode, we're going to be doing, as we always do, what you're reading, watching, listening to, consuming with all the orifices on your face.
Second time, like, straight away. Joe, right at the start. I know it was... yeah.
It's called a callback.
Consistent.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we'll also be doing our topic for this episode, which is underrated actors.
Ooh.
Which is quite interesting.
Fun.
Just before we keep going ahead any further, why did it say 99% uploading in the right hand top of my screen?
That's
Technology.
Right. Cool. Don't worry about it.
Cool, so that's fine. Just cut this bit out. That's fine. Okay.
Everyone else is going fine.
I'm leaving that in.
Just
No,
that wee
I'm leaving
bit.
that in. I have the power now.
You're good. Yeah, you're controlling the edit. So who would like to start this week with what they've been reading, watching, listening to, etc.?
I'll go. I've been
Okay.
listening to fucking Lord of the Rings.
The explicit edition, apparently.
No, it's so like I wanted to start watching the listen to the series again because I've not actually read the books. So I thought Hobbit is the way to go. And oh man, it's hard. It's hard to get through it. I don't know how Peter Jackson made that into 3 films. Like
What, The Hobbit?
3 hours.
Purely.
9-hour
Badly.
films.
I love
Aye.
the Hobbit.
I mean, it's alright.
Hobbit
He
not
dragged it. He dragged it.
No, Hobbit's great. No, not the films. The book.
Yeah,
the
no,
book's
I mean
really
the
good.
film.
The
Yeah.
book's good. The book's
I don't.
good.
Yeah.
Have you? Has anybody listened to it? Has anybody listened to the audio?
I've read it.
No,
Oh,
I've
you
never
must.
read Lord of the Rings, so I tried to start with The Hobbit, and I was reading it when I was interrailing. I got about 95% into it, and I said, "Fuck this," and I threw it away. Just all the rhyming just wrecked my head. And I
The singing was
Positive things
great.
to say about the
Oh.
Hobbit.
tried so hard. I was like, "Fuck this!" And I had sold it, and about 10 pages to finish. I'd say, and I said, "No, not doing it. Fuck that."
I love all this singing. It's great. Plus, Andy Serkis actually sings. He goes, "Oh, no,
Oh, it's,
Misty."
yeah, you were saying before we started, Andy
So
Serkis. Yeah.
He's so good. But as do you know what? Joe has really ruined it for me. I was listening to the Sandman audiobooks, right? And they're like a full length production. They've got music scores and everything.
Is that the Audible ones? Yeah.
Yeah, the audible ones,
Yeah.
and it's ruined any other audiobook for me.
The
'Cause it's
voice
just-
cast for that, Chrissy.
It's
Is
so
Kat
good.
Denning death in that or no?
She's death, yeah. She's
Oh,
Kat
Yeah.
okay.
Dennis.
And then you have Tara Edgerton as John Constantine. I remember
Yes.
that.
Oh,
Yep.
Jesus.
Who-
And
who's,
come here.
who's the main guy? The Scottish
Oh, James McAvoy. Yeah, he's
James
deaf.
McAvoy,
I know as Dream.
Dream man.
Dream Son, yeah.
Okay. I still have
That-
to read that comic. I haven't read it.
I've not read it, but I've definitely seen it, and I've seen the Netflix show. And that's
Oh, the
really
Netflix. Yeah, that's
interesting.
supposed to be really good too.
But
Great
man,
time for fucking Sandman. Yeah, it's
the audiobooks are better than the Netflix show, man. I just listen to it.
But with the Lord of the Rings one, is Serkis just narrate it all and does the individual parts, or
Yeah, he does the whole individual parts. You can definitely sense that he's like pulling like Gandalf from Ian McKellen and stuff. You can see he's pulling some,
okay.
he's copying some sources, but no, he does it.
I think, as you were saying before, some other book you were reading, does he do all the girly voices too?
There's not many.
Does he?
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Bit of sausage fest, turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh, no.
he does them when they come up.
He
Like,
does them when they come up. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Witcher books are a fucking different animal, man. That guy earns his money. He fucking he jumps
yeah.
gender monster. He does everything. Oh. But no.
And do you read at all Or is it just audiobooks you go for?
I'm lazy as shit. No, I don't read.
I haven't read a book in a couple of
Well,
years, like, badly.
Chrissy's actually illiterate.
I don't even know what reading
Comics
is. Like,
Comics count.
That's pretty,
I don't think they
picture
do, and it's been a
okay.
long time since I've
Well, then
technically
10
read a
years for
book.
me.
Just going into the pandemic, I joined a book club with people I used to work with, and I picked like Discworld book 1, which I never read. My brother
That's
read it. I thought it was cool. But then the next guy like picked fucking Fahrenheit 487.
451. Come on.
I don't care. It's a piece of shit book.
It's the temperature at which paper burns, man. Come
Good.
on.
I thought it was shit. Yeah, it just, but the guy was bringing it into the book club as a kind of, makes you think, doesn't it? And I was like,
It's
fuck this, fuck books. I'm reading comic books.
so can I tell you that there is actually not an underlying message from that, and Ray Bradbury, the author of that book, came out and said multiple times when he was alive that there's no like generally like he's like it's actually about this subject.
It's a fucking story. Shut the fuck up,
and someone tried to disagree with him at a lecture he was given about what the book was about.
It's
like,
you're wrong.
Argue,
it's like
you're wrong.
It's like those Twitter interactions in real life. Well, do you know any of those people who generally say makes you think? They're talking shite anyway. So
there's a meme going about now. Metal Gear Solid 4, and it's a scene where Snake's climbing through the microwave tunnel at the end, and somebody's commenting saying, "How come this game holds up? It's still so great so many years later." And somebody's put, "That's because there's no politics in it." It's Metal Gear Solid.
Star Wars.
No politics in Metal Gear. Like, no, it's not about the military industrial complex. Countries sell it their soldiers, right? And just ignore the subtext. Just big robots. That's
He's got a gun. What the fuck are you on about? He shoots people.
No, but audiobooks, that's all I've been fucking reading. I'll probably find something else. But
and The Hobbit, is it just like
it's a 10-hour piece. It's a 10-hour piece. It's pretty lengthy. But I'm 6 hours in. I think I'm at where they're in Mirkwood, where they're meeting the elves, which is pretty interesting. It's so like, see, because I watched the movies first, I'm visualizing where we are, but I'm seeing, oh my god, like the movies really expanded this, and it's literally just like a wee talk between Elrond and Gandalf at one point, and the movies made it like a half-hour scene.
Yes, there's a reason why they are 3 hours long each for 3 films. There's 9 hours of a 10-hour book.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But it's so it's so like the way even the narrator in the book, like the actual what was his name, J.R.R.
Tolkien.
Like the way he's like talking in the book, he's but I'll leave that for the next chapter. You know, it's like he's narrating the continuation of the story.
Well, that's the point, is that The Hobbit is meant to be a translation of a story that he's found. I think that's the narrative. He's found the book or whatever it is of Bilbo Baggins. I think people who watch Lord of the Rings will probably correct me, but I'm pretty sure that's for the Hobbit especially. It's meant to be like
the way they describe the Hobbit in the book. I was expecting like really small, and but in the films they're like half humans. In the book they're like tiny, like mice. The way they describe like he's mice size of a foot, you know. Okay. Like I don't know, but they're comparing them to dwarfs, so I don't know how small you would be compared to a dwarf as a hobbit.
Are they in the first films? Was it Brian Blessing was the ginger dwarf?
No, Brian Blessing. No, it was the Welsh guy. What's his name? Rhys
Davis. Oh, the guy from Sliders, isn't it?
Rhys Davis, yep. Rhys Davis, and also Salah
big
from Indiana
beard
Jones.
Man who goes sometimes. That guy.
Gimli, right?
One of them.
How big was he compared to like Frodo and shit?
I remember.
Same height as Frodo.
Yeah, he's not.
Was he? The same height?
He's just a.
Dwarves and hobbits are roughly the same size.
Oh,
yeah, dwarves and hobbits are roughly the same size.
So why is it different then? What's the difference?
Yeah. Dwarfs are.
Is that height?
That is the height. It's the
bigger guys.
So
Well,
dwarves are actually born within the mountains, I think, is the whole thing, and they're higher up in that.
Just listening to you
and-
talk about Lord of the Rings is boring, man. Don't need to watch film.
Yeah, I
Oh, do you not
fucking
like?
hate Lord of
Oh,
the
you
Rings.
don't like
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings either. Oh man.
See,
It
I'm
goes
a fantasy
Star
guy.
Wars,
Like,
Lord of the
we-
Rings, and then
we've
Dune.
talked about
Dune
my
is even
love-
below that for me sometimes.
We've
Boring, dry sci-fi, yes, or fantasy.
It's
I
beautiful.
mean, in the case of Dune, literal boring dry sci-fi instead of
Because it's
fucking
in a
desert
planet.
planet.
Yeah.
I know, I am psyched for the new one now, but
No, it should be fun. It should be
it's
fun.
Listen,
a little
if
bit
it,
like.
if it wasn't Denis, I wouldn't give a shit. But if it's Denis or not,
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
I want to go back and
But-
watch the David Lynch one just for the fucking force
Just
field
those.
effect. They look cool as
It's
fuck. They're,
David
about
Lynch's
QB
worst
and
film,
stuff.
the original winner.
Is there
Good for them.
anything else you've been reading or watching?
I literally can't remember.
The Hobbit is taking up all of your time.
That is it. Yeah.
And it's consumed you deeply.
Yes.
Uh,
I've
Dan,
enjoyed it.
Yes.
would you like to talk about what you've been watching, reading, listening to, playing to, etc., etc.?
So, first thing.
You can always say no.
Get a list. Get a list.
Don't be silly. So last week I left the viewers on a bit of a cliffhanger, informing them that I was going to go and play the game known as Epstein
yeah.
Island. So I went and I played
How was
Epstein
it?
Island. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was a lazy, half-arsed,
Aw.
empty survival asset flip game with certain names slapped on it just to sell, just to be controversial, and the three villains you fight, it's Have King instead of Hawking, Clinton with a Clintin,
my
and
God.
Minwell instead of Maxwell. So that's your three
Oh my God.
boss fights. You've got a
Maxwell?
minion, yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell.
His wife.
Gillian
Oh
Maxwell.
yeah.
So the wee minion that chases you is called Blue Andrew. So you've got Blue Andrew. You've got,
Jeez.
interestingly, the one character that helps you is called MJ. So I don't know what they're trying to imply there. That MJ is the sound guy out them all, and everybody else is I
Michael
don't
Jackson?
know. I don't
Yeah.
don't read too much into that.
Literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, MJ helps you.
That's it. That's
MJ
only
helps you
helped
kill
people.
Andrew, and who else is in it? There's other names. But yeah, just awful. But none of them even attempt to look like the real counterparts. They're just literally Unreal Engine monsters that they've took and slapped that name on them. Like there's no effort put in.
Okay.
The island itself
Yeah,
is just a generic island. It doesn't in any way resemble what I've seen of the drone footage from the real life Little St. James. Like it's not even close. And it's like, see if you're going to call your game Epstein Island, right, and probably face a lawsuit, then you either need to commit and make it super realistic, like proper base it in, like the real life
The
models
island.
of the game and stuff, or you need to absolutely take the piss and have like a rocket powered Stephen Hawking chasing you about the island like Goat Simulator. And this game doesn't do either. It's just a lazy survival game. Like it's not fun. It's just it's shit. So yeah,
Creative
going to read my full
game
article,
thing.
but it's just abysmal.
How long did you play for it? How long?
I played. So that's the other thing. So it's an online game. It's like a hub world, like an MMO almost. So you join a server, and then you get put on somebody else. Like every island's like its own hub. So you get put onto this island. But it's a type of game that if the host leaves, you are kicked out of the game, and any progress that you made is just lost. And then you spawn back in fresh again, and you need to start this piece of shit game from scratch. And there's nothing
So is it?
like
Is it a multiplayer?
for Ark. It's Ark Survival Evolved, isn't it? Is
So,
that what we call it?
So I was playing one of the boys for the website, Stuart. We landed in this house. It spawns you in the lazy ass, like literally again just plucked through the Unreal Store. Like there's nothing, there's no furniture in it, there's nothing in it. It's just an empty house with no stairs, just a hole in the floor because they've not even put fucking stairs in. So you drop through this hole in the floor, and then you lift a note, and then it's like make a hatchet. So then, but that's the thing as well. See the order that tells you to do things. So it tells you to make a hatchet first, and to make a hatchet you need like wood, cloth, and like something else, string or something, right? And stone, I think. But then it doesn't tell you how to do that. You need to just open the menu and look at the ingredients and then work out, right, okay, this is where I find this stuff, and then you make the hatchet. And then the game tells you, oh, go and collect 40 wood, go and collect 50 stone. Why didn't you tell me to do that first and then make the hatchet with the wood and the stone? Why are you telling me? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, it's just, honestly, it's shit. So,
And sorry,
yeah.
Dan, I don't think you mentioned it specifically, but you're reviewing it for FandomWire.
Yeah, well, I was sent 2 codes, so thanks to the developers. Shout out to you. Good luck with the lawsuit, lads.
Yeah.
I don't like changing the spell in a few names is going to save you, but that's what it is. Yeah,
Maybe it's just so generic that they
I didn't give it
couldn't
a
do
review
good
score. I
first.
didn't justify it. Like, it's not even a
That'll
game. Do you know what I
be
mean? I didn't justify
that'll be
it
why
by giving it
they'll
a review score.
that'll be probably why they avoided using like lookalike or like
Oh,
AI
yeah,
generated whatever's, because that definitely would be a defamation case.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's no doubt
I
there
mean,
would be a suit getting involved with
yeah,
that.
it's abysmal. So yeah, I played that, and then I played a good game. I downloaded HellDivers 2.
Oh,
And
fantastic!
Oh yeah,
Oh,
my
how
mate was
is
playing
that?
that.
I've heard about that.
Helldivers
fantastic.
2 is Helldivers 2 is a really interesting game. I think it came out at a really interesting time because it's came out obviously in this kind of dead period for game releases. Like the start of the year is
Yeah.
always quiet, but
It's
not
quiet.
only that, it came out at the perfect time because it's just showed up two massive studios, Rocksteady with Suicide Squad and Ubisoft with Skull and Bones, both multi-million live service games that were put out, and then literally the player counts just bombed, like a
Dived,
week
yeah.
after. And Helldivers is actually a victim of its own success. The worst thing about Helldivers is that you can't always get a game because the servers are so full,
Because
because
it's
there's
too
so many
busy.
people looking
Yeah,
to play it, and they didn't anticipate it. They have, although give them their due, that was the case for like a day or two, and then they updated it, and now it's a lot better. So they're
You know
doing
what the
their bit.
workaround for that was? That
Sorry?
you know what the workaround was for the whole server
No,
capacity thing?
what they do.
People, if you had a friend who was already in the game,
Mm-hmm.
you could join on them, and it skipped you past the loading
Oh,
screen.
that's cool.
Oh, so
What
got
the
you
fuck?
right in.
Yeah, get you in.
So,
It's good.
listen, it's a £35, $40 game that you go in. There's nothing really to it. You watch an intro sequence. It's kind of like Starship Troopers. It's like propaganda. Like, I'm doing
It
my
looks
part,
exactly
so that
like
kind of shit,
yeah.
right?
It looks
And
exactly
then,
like Starship Troopers.
so you're signed up to protect Super Earth and go and feed liberty to the aliens and stuff. So you land, you shoot the bugs, you
Spread
land on our
democracy.
planet, you shoot the robot. The robot planet's very like Judgment Day, like Terminator 2 Judgment Day, when you're fighting all the cyborgs in the kind of derelict wasteland. And then also the sand planets when you're fighting the creatures as very Starship Troopers.
Mhm.
It's just fun. You just drop your pals, you have a laugh, you kill bugs, you get out, and it's all that kind of tone of the whole like America is carried through the whole thing, and it's really funny. Like you'll throw grenades and you'll be like, "Have a cup of liberty," and you'll like throw a grenade and stuff like just shit like that's just funny.
Nice.
You can
Yeah.
you can name your ship, so it's like you can have like Fortress. Or you can have Fortress of Solitude, but I actually called mine Fist of Twilight. Which is just the funniest name I come up with. It's like a selected list, so
of
Fist
Twilight.
obviously is an obvious one you'll go with, and then Twilight, I'm like, yeah, why not?
You gotta go.
Yeah, and then you just level up. And the great thing about it as well, it's got a battle pass, right? It does have monetary transactions if you want to spend money, but it has a
Right.
free battle pass at the same time, and the better weapons are in the free battle pass. So you don't need to
Okay.
buy the
Oh.
battle pass. Also,
Yeah.
it's insane how like you're so pre-programmed to getting shafted by like COD and stuff that when you get like you finish a round right and you see your XP going up and you're like, oh, that's probably like a 100th of a gun. Like I need to get that like 100 more times before I can unlock this rifle. See in Helldivers, you play like 2 matches and you can unlock like a shotgun, and then you play another like match, you can unlock a rifle. Like it's so the unlocks are so quick in comparison with like your AAA studios. It's just they've came along and have showed all the big studios, this is how you make a live service game, this is how you do it well, and it works, it's fun, there's not much to it in terms of like story and stuff, but it looks cool, it's satisfying to play, it's not too expensive, like it's 35-40 quid, and they will make so much more money because more people are willing to jump into this than drop 70 quid on Skull and Bones when all the reviews are shit. There's nothing to do in the game. There's hardly, even if you can get into the game, there's hardly any players playing it. Like when you're on the sea, you don't see any other ships because everybody knows the game shit. Same with Suicide Squad, apparently. I've heard people in that game sitting for like half an hour, 40 minutes waiting for a squad to
Yeah.
join. Like whereas Helldivers,
Yeah.
you're in like that, you're on the planet, you're killing. It's just these games rely, they live and die on momentum, and if you can't even have that momentum coming out the gate, what chance have you got?
Yep,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
like even games like
Uphill
Anthem
battle.
and like other ones that have failed in the past had a bit of momentum at first because like Anthem was BioWare and shit, and it was like, oh, okay, we didn't really know any better at the time, so we're like, oh, let's try this, and then it failed. And then even Marvel's Avengers had a bit of momentum because oh, it's Avengers, and then people kind of realize, oh, it's a shit, and it failed. Whereas I feel like people now have cottoned on to the fact that these companies are just fleecing people with their brand loyalty with Suicide Squad
Shit.
and with Skull and Bones, the fact that it's Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which remember that was a good game, nostalgia. Once you're in, you realise it's a shell of Black Flag, and that Suicide Squad is a shell of the Arkham games, and there's nothing really beyond that initial like brand recognition. Whereas this isn't even an actual licensed game, but it's pretty much a Starship Troopers game. Again,
It's also
distinct enough
And there's also
legally
a
they don't get
Starship
away with
Troopers
it.
game.
Sorry.
There's also a Starship Troopers game out like or coming out soon too, isn't there?
Oh really? I don't know. I know there's a real-time
Yeah.
strategy one I've seen, but I don't know if that's old or new. Or
No,
what
I think
that is.
there was an FPS. There was a first-person shooter, I think, that came out, or it was coming out, I think.
Yeah, there's a trailer because that's what was really
Right.
confusing me because I'd seen the HellDivers at the State of Play this year, I think. But then I saw my mate was showing me a Starship Troopers one, and my friend who's like well, I guess he doesn't have Starship Troopers, it's not out yet, but he was playing it too. And is this like a double A game? How is it so cheap?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it's the same studio that made the first HellDivers, but the first HellDivers was a PS Vita exclusive at first. It did come to, I think, PS4 eventually, but it was a PS Vita exclusive. It was like a top-down
Isometric, yeah, I've
planetary
seen it.
defense isometric game. So this is a huge step up for them, like this kind of third-person like action, and it's quite a large scale. Eventually, you fight these massive bugs, and like it does get quite kind of epic and grand as it goes. It's just solid, man. It's fun. Don't overthink it, and
it shows like the wee kind of not. I wouldn't say they're a wee company. I'm just looking at their kind of games.
they're not a huge company. They're definitely not a huge company.
Like it shows like there's so much passion in those little companies when it's massive companies that just like EA or any other fucking company. It's just like even Rocksteady.
As Ubisoft claimed, quadruple A. Shut up, man.
Yeah,
what?
A lot of shit.
Yeah, Eve's Gone 1 was basically getting dug by the investors, being like, Skull and Bones has been in development for 11 years. That's better deliver, and he was like, "Don't worry about it. It's going to be a quadruple A game."
Oh, what a fan! Try to start a new trend.
Imagine claiming that, and then it comes out, and it's not even as good as the game that came out 10 years ago. Like, shut up! Idiot, man.
So I think for me as well, with obviously HellDivers and stuff like that being this kind of like almost like it's not quite an indie title, and obviously it's not a AAA game made by like that massive studio. It just works though on so many levels. Because I remember when we did, I think was it State of Play or one of the PlayStation consoles things for Fanamwire last year, Dan, and I think we both kind of wrote HellDivers off a little bit. And I remember when we talked about it at the time when we first saw it, because it had the propaganda video that's playing the cutscene. That was its launch trailer, and this was this is a Starship Troopers game.
Yeah.
And then it obviously was what's HellDivers? Like, I don't know exactly what that is, but whatever. And then obviously now it's skyrocketing in popularity.
It's word of mouth, and like that's the thing. Again, it shows you that's all you really need to do is make a fun game, and then people will talk about it. And that's the thing as well. Normal people, like I know people that aren't into games that have been like, "Oh, what's this HellDivers? Is it any good?" Like, have you asking me about it, and should I download it and stuff? Like, people outside of the kind of zeitgeist are interested, and I think that's huge. Like, if you can tap into that, because at the end of the day, us nerds that just play everything that comes out, we're not really the target market. You're wanting the man on the street, and the fact that HellDivers is kind of tapping into that's insane. Like,
well, it hit a massive market in TikTok as well, man. Like,
really,
it's all over TikTok, and it's people creating almost their own kind of like lore and story and stuff like that within the kind of game because the whole ideas. Yeah. Okay. So it's completely other thing of like, so you know how like it's people talk about like the siege of, I think it's Malovo Creek or something like that, which was a thing of when the player count was at its lowest because of the server issues. Right. So they were losing. The HellDivers were losing, like, you know how like, so you get a liberation meter basically whenever you go to a planet, because it's like that kind of thing. But like it was ticking down because it was too hard almost, and it's the whole thing of like, requested reinforcement, requested backup, and there's issues with the servers. And it's that kind of stuff. It's like these kind of like weird kind of moments and stuff like that. And the lore for the game is also incredible.
And like
it's just
the satirical aspect of it is great as well. I was playing a mission today.
It's great.
I was playing a mission today where you have to raise 4 flags. And it's like you're fighting bugs. They don't even know what a flag is, and you're like landing on their planet flag, be like, hell yeah! And then as the flag's raising, you hear this like patriotic music playing and stuff, and you're just killing all these mindless bugs, and you're like, this is so like, it's very Paul Verhoeven. It's very kind of Starship Troopers, but it's solid, man. It's funny.
And I saw someone
people understand that though.
I think I saw it was Paul Verhoeven was saying that this game is driving up a lot of interest in Starship Troopers again. I saw like a tweet by someone. It was like, that's why I just keep getting confused because they're so similar, because it's bugs, you're shooting, it's satirical, like.
Yep.
It's definitely based. It's based off. It's definitely
trending.
based off
so I went on to whatever movie site it was the other day, and like I was actually going on to watch Starship Troopers. I'm going to go and watch it because again, playing the game put me in the mood, and I didn't even need to search for it. I was in trending movies, Starship Troopers, and I was like, oh, everybody's watching it.
Okay.
And again, that speaks to the
Yeah.
kind of popularity of the game that it's turning people back out of this old movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I went and I watched the film for the first time in about 15 years, and it's amazing. But it's also very.
cringy as shit.
It's also just so on the nose that you're like, how did they actually get
Yeah.
away with this? Like,
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah.
of nuts, but it's who cares? Like, it's fun and it's great. And
Yeah,
it's
great
Starship
film, great
Troopers,
film.
So,
So, anything else, Dan, that you've been?
well, there's another thing, but I'm going to tie that into the topic. So I think that's me for now.
Okay, we'll circle back into that. Jerd, you're up, my boy.
I was scratching my head. I've listened to a lot of music, and I've been editing the podcast, which for me that takes me like a week to do something that's like that. So other than that, Spider-Man. Sorry. But it's so it's the Roger Stern run of Spider-Man, which starts in like the 80s or maybe it's very late 70s. But it's always been known to me. I've always heard of it with great reverence as the Spider-Man run. Like a lot of the stuff that's in the PlayStation game gets its vibe directly from this. Like so, there's comedic punch-ups and two. I've only read it. Like I'm not very far into it, but like say within the space of the last 2 or 3 issues, he has twice used Plain Dead to get in on a character. When he does this to the bunch.
Is this peak 70s and 80s Spider-Man? Is this what we're talking about?
What's the year? I think it was like 1980. So it's not like super cheesy. It is kind of cheesy for the time, but it's kind of seen as the more kind of evolved Spider-Man reading, where it's still kind of like I think Spider-Man, even when he's at his best, he's still pretty goofy, or it can be goofy in places. So yeah, like he does the Plain Dead trick on the Vulture. But when he does it to the Vulture, he says it's the second time he's done it to the Vulture. And then he does it to some other guy like a couple of issues later, and he just keeps doing it. And it's like, he just lies down on the ground and he gets close and he gives him a kick or something like. But one of the things that, again, I'm not very far into it. Like, the story's kind of cool. There's so it's drawn mostly in the house style, which is like, that's when you see the kind of 60s, 70s stuff, that's like the John Romita Senior Spider-Man. And then like, is it Steve Buscema? No, that's Steve Buscemi. That's the actor. Joe Buscema. There's John Buscema. Yeah. So between him and John Romita Senior, they kind of that was the style of Marvel up until right into the 80s. So one thing I've noticed that I've heard her name before. So sorry, it starts off in Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, which is not the main book. Amazing is the main book, and then they eventually, what they're doing in here, what Stern was doing here was so good that they gave him the Amazing Spider-Man. And like issues where you've seen like Juggernaut versus Spider-Man in the 80s, that really iconic issue, that's him. And the Christmas, the sick kid or whatever it is, the Spider-Man visits the kid and the kid is sick. Yeah. Really famous issue. That again.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the big stories. So I'd say the older creators probably created a lot of the characters. Most of Spider-Man's rogues are there from like Shockers from like the very late 60s, I think, even. So like anyone you think is there, but this kind of added in some more stories. I really should know, but I think I don't know if the Gene the Wolf is in this, but a lot of like the main kind of a little bit established iconic Spider-Man stories come from this run. But one of the artists who I've heard her name, and now it is kind of in the house style, but her name, Marie Severin, I'm sure you've heard of her. She's one of the kind of classic, like when you ever hear the older Marvel, like the Marvel Bun Pin, when Stan Lee and all them, they're joking around. No, to be honest, I haven't done an awful lot of research on her, but just her art, I just find has so much character. Like some of it's a little bit clunky, it's it's old fashioned, it's a bit dated. But some of it just like, I'll just get you here. Like it's a little bit labor.
Or admit to yourself.
Oh my god. Oh no, there we go, he's back.
That looks great though.
That does look good too.
I don't know what's that. Okay, fuck. Is that pressing?
No, you're still here. You're
still there.
Okay, I can't see my camera though, but I'm sure.
Just see
okay. No, don't fucking turn off, you bastard. So it's kind of like what you expect from around that time, but I just think it has
We should do a compilation of Jerd versus technology.
I'll
And
fucking
then
wait.
put it on TikTok.
Listen,
One
I'm
second,
losing
I wanna
that
show
fight,
you.
so I can't.
So there's like, look at that there. I just think that is such like it's an old drawing. Yes, it's dated, but I just think it has so much kind of character. And then when you go, and then he knocks Spider-Man into some shit. It's just like he's smashing off stuff, and like it
Classic, isn't it?
it's funny, but like it's just there's it's kind of an old-fashioned drawing, but I'm just finding it very like it tells the story well. Like I love these few panels here. That's a focus. He's just like punching him in the face. Like it's always kind of dated, but it's really I'm really enjoying it. I'm kind of finding like I'm very slowly going over the issues. It's not so dated that everything feels clunky, but some things do. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm not awfully far.
How are you feeling with the digital compared to the actual physical?
I can't
Do you
even
not
read
feel there's any
physical now,
difference?
to be honest with you. Like if
Right.
I'd be reading certain arcs, say, and they're like, well, I have the physical, so I'll read the physical. And then when I'm trying to read it, I'm like, fucking, the lighting is never right. It's always awkward to read. I can't focus.
Just up this way.
My eyesight is getting like, so I'm 36, and that's kind of when they say
Glasses, mate.
your eyesight starts to go a little bit shaky. I was reading like a can of beans one night, and I literally couldn't read it. I was like, I just must be too small. And then I showed it to my housemate, and he was like, "Oh no, I can read that." And I was like, "Oh shit!" He used to wear glasses, and he could read it, but he got laser. But yeah. So physical, I find difficult. I'm just got so used to digital now. And yeah, other than that, again, tablet related. So it's a Samsung Galaxy Tab S. Oh, I always have to Google it. Because I maybe mentioned before, Tab S6 Lite, so very, very mini review. Just what I've been doing with it the last while is I think I mentioned last week I moved over to drawing on it. So I'll just give you a little sample of what I've been doing. 1 second now.
Well, welcome to Jerd's Art Corner. New segment. So
I've been trying to
Boyd, exciting.
I think it is. Okay, it's not going to work. Okay,
it's fine. It's not fine.
That's what I've got. That's what I've got so far. It's hard to see.
What the
What
is that? What is that?
My niece. You can't see it properly.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
All right.
I will digitally compose it in on the image. Okay. Well, fuck you then.
Oh, okay.
I did not do anything this week. That's all I get.
Right, hang on. Let's really test you here, Jerd. We're gonna show a better resolution of the image now.
Massimo loves just making you do it.
I have no idea how to do it.
I do. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. No, the editing's grand. No, but that's it. No, it's just as far as from drawing from paper to drawing digitally as a piece of technology. First time doing it, it didn't take me long to kind of feel like it's real drawing. It doesn't, you think it's more of a, I guess, same as kind of going with the reading digital to reading physical. It doesn't really feel that different after a while. But yeah, other than that, honestly, I've been doing nothing this week, working a lot and having no money. So watching lots of YouTube, but nothing in particular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
What about you, Mass?
I know, right? I am under the hot seat now, so I'm gonna get some visual aids for mine. So just
show and tell.
for your boots for 2 seconds. So I decided to I went on Amazon and I decided to buy some of the Bruce Timm animated stuff. So I was like, boom, and I got myself Superman animated series on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, because why not? I also got the Batman animated series.
Oh my lord!
So
gorgeous.
I'm currently working my way through Superman because that's the canonical start of this universe. I'm trying to source myself some copies of the Justice League shows on Blu-ray, but they're extremely difficult to do because I don't believe there is a UK release of them on Blu-ray currently for Justice League or Justice League Unlimited. But
why physical? Why can't you do? I know. I get why you've bought those two as Blu-rays, but why can't you do the stuff online, the Justice League stuff online, and then just?
I can't. I could do.
But you don't want to?
But I'm trying to build a wee bit.
Fair.
I could do.
They're on Netflix.
They are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But it's one of those things of like I'm maybe starting a wee collection, so I might try to do it. If I can, obviously I'll just watch them on Netflix or whatever. And I do actually have the DVD copies of Justice League Unlimited.
All of them?
which somewhere, yeah. So I have the
Wow.
first 2 seasons unlimited.
Oh, just
The last
regular,
two,
not Blu-ray.
Yeah, not the Blu-ray, just from when I had them from when I was a kid and used to watch
Yeah.
them. Was the episodes are actually out of order? So I realised I'd never seen the last season because it wasn't released, even though it's the second part of that. It's a whole thing. So I've actually never seen any of that show. I'm fully aware of it. Because I'll get into it. Because the last episode is obviously this thing. But
it's Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, or is it just Unlimited from the start? Is there two?
No, it's Justice League, and then it becomes unlimited after Star-Crossed, which was the movie. Well, the 2-part special episode thing where spoilers, Hawkgirl basically turns out has betrayed the rest of the league. And then they have to go underground for a little bit.
Oh my god! I didn't know that was the then that's the
that's the end of the original run, and then they changed to Unlimited. Unlimited then has the first episode, which has like Green Arrow and Supergirl and Captain Atom, and then The Question, and that's
the
those
Question.
episodes.
Oh fuck that! Yeah, love Fedora.
But yes, this is really good. This still holds up really well. It is so fun and a bit campy and a bit cheesy, but I do love it. And obviously it's like kind of from the the 90s on Blu-ray as well. It still looks great, and animation is fantastic. I love the art style.
Chris was talking about the Batman series last week. The art style is hard to beat.
Is it all in one? Is it all in one disc, or do you need to watch?
Superman one is one like Blu-ray thing about this big, but it's about I think 6 discs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Plus like a special features disc as well, and then BTAS is so this is obviously only covers the original run of BTAS. It doesn't cover
the season 4,
the Adventures of Batman or Batman and Family.
The black one where he's like in the black
what's
costume.
with the red kind of sunlight in the back. You know the one I'm on about.
I know.
I know.
We're Italian, we know each other.
It's fun, family ties. But it's been really fun so far, and I've been really enjoying watching it, and it still holds up, and it just has that. It's just very, very sweet. That makes sense. Like just it has that classic Superman kind of
it's
style.
It's very easy to watch, aren't they? Because they're like 20 minutes.
They're 20-minute episodes.
It's so quick that you forget you're watching them. It's
it's very samey. It's very like Monster of the Week cartoony kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as the show progresses and it finds its feet and it has these more complex storylines and stuff, like all the stuff with kind of Brainiac, which starts off at episode 1 of the show.
Does it?
Because Brainiac's the computer that Jor-El puts the calculations in for Krypton, who tells him that he's wrong. So there's some heavy amounts of foreshadowing, even regardless from the very start of the show, which is fantastic. But it's fantastic. A classic slice of life Superman, very kind of old school style. It's really really fun.
The voice actor from that series, he didn't really do as much of or he wasn't as present as Superman as say Conroy was as Batman. He did it for X amount, but I think he kind of got moved. Superman got recast more, I think, did he?
I think Superman got recast when it came to Justice League, I believe.
Even within the series. Oh, I just meant to say like how Batman, what's his name again? I just said it. Like he was the go-to for Batman for years afterwards. That Superman guy wasn't as much, or no?
1 second, I'll have a look. Because that's a very good question.
Fuck you laughing at that?
Is it not Tim Daly? Is that not who he is? Who's Superman? Who was always the Superman voice?
I was just saying something. Sorry.
I'm sure it was Tim Daly.
We'll put it in the chat for later.
It's a guy called George Newbern. Who is the voice actor for Unlimited and Justice League, and then it is Tim Daly who is the voice actor for Superman for the original animated series.
Yeah, Tim Daly was the name I kind of recognised. I know him. He does a bit of TV acting and stuff.
So yes, they did change the voice actor and also the design of Supes as well.
Oh my god, that's a bastard there. That's drama right there. I did not know that. Oh, George Newbern was the Justice League Superman.
Okay.
So there's that. there's that sort of thing. But yes, you are right. I think that's another reason as well why he didn't become as prevalent as Conroy, because Conroy was the voice of Batman. He
was the
I've
voice
seen the
of
video that that's the voice of Batman, the Batman. Some would say, but no, yeah, it's really fun. Of course, we have Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor, which is
Starship
amazing.
Troopers.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know that was
Clancy
Clancy Brown.
Starship Troopers.
yeah, man. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, there's a link.
There you
There's
go.
that across the board.
There you go.
But yes, phenomenal. Just show in general and really fun. And beside that, I've been playing this week. I've been playing through one of my favourite games of all time, which is a game called Disco Elysium.
Oh
I've
yeah.
talked about it before on the podcast. Phenomenal game. So heartbreaking, so heart wrenching, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna replay it again." And it's really good. It's like a narrative RPG kind of thing. You basically play a guy who's lost his memory. He's an amnesiac, and he's a cop, and he has a murder to solve, and it's really compelling. And it goes just so it's so hard to explain it without spoiling stuff, because it's so different. Like I've had friends who have played it, and you get completely different bits of dialogue, voice lines, context. Like it's just obviously the story is still going to be the same, but the way that you get there, it's like you can miss things.
Yeah.
That are entirely different. Like there's certain
What's it
little
called
bits.
again? What's it called?
Disco Elysium.
You were talking about, I think,
Disco Elysium.
when it first came out, or we were first playing it.
I think I talked about it in 2019. Oh no, I talked about it when we first did the podcast. It came in 2019. I played it first 2 years ago.
Yeah, I
in
think you were just
2022.
starting it when you were.
And I was just starting, and now I've come back to it after 2 years. But it's just a phenomenal game. It's it's a really highly well received game as well.
Yeah.
If it's your cup of tea for kind of RPGs, so it's really cool because it works on this almost like you have like speech checks and stuff, but it's based off of a hidden dice system that's based off of your stat. It's like really, it's quite cool. It's really quite cool the way they do it as well. And it's quite meta as well, because there's even a thing where you can find like not response, but there's a place where you can basically find an old developer studio who were doing a TTRPG, and it's like that kind of thing, and it like almost very self-referential, like a tabletop RPG kind of thing, like roll dice, that kind of stuff. Sorry, yeah. And it's quite self-referential in that way, and it's really fun. But it's heartbreaking though, so heartbreaking, and you don't realize it as well. Like you could basically sometimes you go through the game and completely miss, but the context of them. Basically, talk to everyone, exhaust your dialogue options, and you'll be better for it in this game.
And it seems like if you can come back to it in 2 years and it's still that engaging for you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I know what's happened in the story, but like I'm playing it a completely different way.
Yeah.
So it's
so there's, I think you said something like you can like die in the first couple of minutes if you don't do a certain thing.
Yeah, you fully can die if you have low enough health and you fail a check to get your tie.
To get your
tie?
Yeah, to get your tie, to pull your tie off of a ceiling fan. If you don't turn it off first, you can try and get it. And you're because you wake up with a hangover, your health's already low, so like you can die from sitting on a chair, a really uncomfortable chair. It kills. So there are basically two stats of the game. You have physical health and morale, and you can get 2 games over. You can either your physical health goes to 0 or your morale goes to 0. Physical health go to 0, you die, you have a heart attack, whatever. Your moral health goes to 0, you just quit. You just like fully it hits 0. There's no you get health items and stuff where you can have them in the game and stuff, but as soon as it hits 0, you have to it comes up with like a prompt, and it's like you get a narrator, the kind of voice of the narrator throughout the whole game, and he says oh yeah, you realise that you don't want to do this anymore, and you get a bunch of options like fuck this, or I don't want to do this, and I'm not this sort of animal, and that like stuff like that. It's like really cool. But yeah, it's a really good game, and I would recommend it to anyone. It's not a super long play, I don't think. I'm trying to remember, but it's still worth its money.
Yeah, I'm seeing it come up a lot more just on like social media, like just people doing fan art of it and stuff. Which
the art is
it's very watercolory kind of stuff with the lilac.
It's a
everything the words.
Yeah, with the reds and the lilacs and those kind of things. But it's cool. And it's like the whole thing is like you have different parts of your personality that speak to you as well. So there's like the drama, the psyche, the physical instrument, like these different parts of you, and they all have checks and stuff like that. So like you can like they're all hidden checks. So like if it's not high enough for one thing, you won't get a certain bit of dialogue that maybe helps you and like helps you figure out things. It's really cool. Really, really cool.
It looks like kind of not punk. What's that called? It's like a retro punk thing. Is it based on like kind of the real world, or is it like a different kind of?
It's a different world, but it's like set in this like really hard to explain. It's basically set on this like fake continent, this fake country, but it's like very much like 70s inspired.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Retro kind of like people with tape recorders and that kind of thing, and like stuff. It's a lot of analog technology and stuff, and like
actually looks really interesting.
Oh,
I'm not really a fan of the whole RPG games, but
it's not really it's a story. It really is a story game that has like dialogue options, but it's like the RPG elements are all kind of hidden behind the scenes. Like you interact with items, and you boost up stats and stuff like that, and you gain experience. Basically, the way you gain experience in this game is just by talking to people and by going down dialogue trees and those kind of things, and it gives you more of a complete picture as to what's going on. I could talk about this game all day long if you let me. But it's phenomenal, and I always suggest it. And it's my second playthrough of it as well. And then I've also been playing HellDivers as well, which Dan mentioned. I'm really, really enjoying that. Spreading democracy across the universe in a totally unironic way, of course.
Yes. Topic then, is it, boys?
But
underrated actors. I think, Dan, did you say you had something that led into the topic itself?
The tie-in?
So, I'll kick us off then. So, I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows recently, the TV show. I watched the movie years ago when it came out with Taika and Jermaine Clement, but recently I was looking for something to watch, and What We Do in the Shadows first premiered when we were in New York. I remember me and Courtney the first time, I believe. I remember seeing all the taxis advertising stuff and then being like, "Oh shit, man, Matt Berry's in it and stuff, and that sounds cool. I need to watch that." Never ever got around to it until sort of 2 weeks ago or something, and shoved it on, and everybody's great in it. The three leads and Colin Robinson, I guess the four leads, are all hilarious. But just Matt Berry, man, like Matt Berry can do anything. He can say funny stuff, and he can also say the least funny thing, but the way that he says it is just funny. Like it doesn't matter. Even just something simple as New York City, like it's just
New
funny
York
the way
City.
he and or Manhattan. We have to go to Manhattan. Shit, like.
May I approach the bitch? What was that? May I approach the bench?
And like, I mean, I was thinking about like even feel like the IT crowd days when he's like, "Father," and he opens the door and, "Oh wow, a gun!" Like, you know, that shit. Like,
yeah.
I feel like he's an actor that's been kind of he's well known in Britain, but I think What We Do in the Shadows, I think Taika and Jermaine Clement have really kind of took him to America and kind of put him on the world stage, which they've also kind of done with the other cast member, because there's not really anyone in the show other than the kind of guest appearances like Dave Bautista's in at one point and stuff, and Mark Hamill and shit. But like the actual main cast aren't really known actors, and they've clearly kind of found people that are very funny that have never really maybe had the chance to blow up on that scale and just put them in. And I just think it's cool that he's got that opportunity now, but he's also at the age that he's been doing it for a while. You know, Toast of London and all the different shows that Mighty Bush, everything he's been in.
You think Garth Marenghi's that?
Oh,
yeah, and Garth Marenghi as well.
He's got like everything he does is like banger after banger.
Like he's great.
Toast of London.
I
can hear you, Clem Pentago.
It got me thinking about just kind of your underrated performance, and what other examples are there like that? You know, people that maybe been working for a while and maybe in their 40s or 50s or older even, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, where's this person been all these years? Like, you've kind of discovered them, and then a lot of the time you'll discover somebody kind of at that point in their career, and then you'll go back and look at their earlier stuff and realize, oh, this is good too. Like, I've often done it with writers and directors, I think, but not as much with actors, and that's how I kind of got thinking, like, what actors are that I've really kind of seen have kind of grabbed my attention, and then I've been like, oh shit, I need to check out this person's body of work, like what else he's done.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be a good idea for a topic.
Just on Matt Berry, he's also a great musician and makes music that you wouldn't expect to come out of him. Like you'd expect some kind of like big, heavy ballad stuff, but it's just like it worked its way into my YouTube music, the song, and it took me a while to look it up. And I was like, Matt Berry, that can't be the same Matt Berry. There's a song called Witch Hazel. It sounds like a 70s kind of just rock song or whatever, but it's great. And you
He's got
really
like
wouldn't think it's him.
7 albums or something. Again, he's quite a
Oh, yeah.
prolific
Wouldn't
musician.
be
Like
surprised,
he's got
yeah.
and he's toured and stuff. Like I think he's got a band as well that he plays with. Like he's doing alright musically. And he's just clearly a crave. And again, his music I expect it to be kind of parody stuff. It's 100% earnest. Like
Oh yeah,
it's not
I had no idea.
Like,
Came out.
he's an actual serious musician and he's very talented at playing different instruments and stuff. And and he writes himself
You think it might be Flight of the Conchords-y, but it's like not at all. It really wouldn't if I could play you 3 songs, you never random songs, you wouldn't guess it's him. Yeah, but I guess he hasn't really. One thing it's interesting with him, I don't think I've ever seen him do any drama like in any way. Which would be interesting to see.
Well, like proper serious.
Yeah, just like fucking dead serious. Like, because he can clearly, like, as they always say, well, most comedians, like, the comedies are harder to do.
Well, that's the thing about Matt Berry. As great as he is, and as much as you just said, he's banger after banger, he always plays Matt Berry. But that's kind of okay because he's so unique and he's so kind of one of a kind that when Taika was hiring Matt Berry, he's also seen his other work and he knows what he's getting. So you're kind of bet on a sure thing, but you're not going to ask him to do something like completely different from what he's done before. Like he's Matt Berry, do you know what I mean?
It's really good to see sometimes. But yeah, his delivery is. There's not many people who can, like, say, like Christopher Walken isn't really.
My good time boy, my big cheese, my good time boy.
Boy.
Like Christopher Walken has a very distinctive voice. He's not a comedian, but Matt Berry. I'm trying to think of anyone who can say things like, and it stood the test over years. That just by the way they deliver a line, it's funny. Like he's been at that level since. Like, yeah.
The amount of people that impersonate that, do you know what I mean? That they kind of like, you bring up Matt Berry and everybody's like, is that the guy with the voice? Like, you're like, yeah, that's him. Like, everybody knows right away.
Did you ever see the sketch where it's like anytime he goes up talking to a woman and like she just casually mentions her boyfriend or something, like, fuck off! Or he's walking her dog and then she's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend just did something. Fuck up! And just punts the dog away. Like, or like she's like, oh yeah, I'll buy her drinks. It's like, oh yeah, I'll have a Guinness gin tonic, blah blah blah. And he's just bringing the drinks over, mentions again. Fuck. Yeah. And he's just, it's a whole energy with him. Like it's.
Yeah. And like what I was just saying there about the what we do in the shadows. Funnily enough, I was watching it earlier today, and there's an episode where they find this cloak that when you put it on, it makes you look like another person. But you still sound like yourself. So everybody's putting it on and pretend to be Nandor, who's played by Kevin Novak, the guy who feel like Phonejacker and stuff. And when everybody's putting the cape on, it's that actor's doing impressions of the guy that plays Gilmore and the guy that plays whatever, right? And Colin Robinson. But there's a part where, Matt Berry puts the cape on and he's trying to do Matt Berry, and that is the worst impression. Like, out of all the voices he does, he's quite good at all of them. That one's not great, and you're like, oh shit, I wonder if he has, because he's so unique, he's maybe the hardest one to do, even though you would think it would be quite distinctive. Like, see the bit when he's playing, what's the kid when he goes into hiding and he's playing the character from Tucson, Arizona. It's Jackie Daytona.
That's the one
Jackie Daytona.
That's the one with Mark Hamill, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Guy Novak. Oh yeah, Guy Novak's Phonejacker. Yeah.
Tucson, Arizona.
It's the line side. You know what I really want to try? Copophilia. New York. Did you say copophilia? It's so fucking good. So good.
And Natasha Dimitriou, who plays Nadia, she's fantastic. She's so funny.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure, so she's came up in like BBC and English comedy. I guess so did Kaya Novak, and then so did Matt Berry. But then the rest is kind of like American. But she's. I hear something about her accents. Like I think she is Polish, but I think so. Yeah. In real life she's an English accent. But it's something about the tone of her delivery too is just fucking priceless.
Yeah.
And
the theme together are just
who's got anyone else got another underrated actor?
I've never seen it.
Oh, you should watch it.
I have one. Who we've already talked about on this podcast so far.
Okay.
Oh no, it better be mine. Is he 65?
I don't know his name. No, it's He's appeared in Starship Troopers, as Dan mentioned, and he's appeared in.
Better not be Clancy Brown if
It is Clancy Brown, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's a massively underrated actor.
Yeah.
A phenomenal
Mhm.
voice actor as
Yeah.
well. Mr. Krabs, Lex
Yeah.
Luthor. He's the Kruger from Highlander, man. Like, the man has
The guy
been
from Gargoyles.
around.
Well, I think
He's Detroit Become
Was he the
Human
main
as
guy
well.
from
He's
Gargoyles?
also.
Or no? He was in Gargoyles.
I've not seen
Was he in
Gargoyles.
Gargoyles?
Gargoyles, I think it might be, yeah.
But see, as far as
He
him
was-
being an underrated actor, I know how well revered he is. Like, my nephew is obsessed with him, but I know him to see, but I don't really know him as like when I hear people say Clancy Brown
Yeah.
and they know him, they're like, "Oh, fucking Clancy Brown." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know him,"
Yeah.
but like I don't know where all. What do you think are his biggest roles then?
Shawshank
So
Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption is the one of the big ones, yeah.
Flubber. Flubber.
Yeah. He's the bad guy in Highlander. He's the Kruger.
Starship
As
Troopers.
well. Starship Troopers. Obviously, big one, Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the big
yeah.
ones.
That is probably it. Yeah.
I didn't know that at all. Yeah.
Iconic. He's also in Invincible
Yeah,
as well for 4 episodes. Like, see if I go through his IMDb, do you know what I mean? It's like it's a lot. It's a lot of animated stuff, but
Yeah.
he's also like a very recognizable face as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you know who Clancy, but he's also Detroit Become Human as well. I know, but that's like a partially voice acting, but also
motion
it is
capture.
his face.
Yeah.
It is motion capture. Rick and Morty. He's in The Mandalorian. Well, most people are, but that's fair enough. Robot Chicken. Like, obviously phenomenal voice actor. Also played Uatu the Watcher even in Avengers Assemble. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal actor. The thing is, he did a lot of stuff. He was more live action in the 90s.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he has since transitioned to kind of more voice acting roles. But I still think he's massively underrated. Like, he's arguably like although people love like Kevin Conroy is Batman, for a lot of people, Clancy Brown is Lex Luthor. That voice,
Nice.
and that kind of thing.
Oh,
and,
Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah,
I mean to check.
Yeah,
and he is like he's very much that guy. Even without knowing all the stuff he's done or knowing the kind of the reason.
But he's always reliable. Like, he's one of those actors that you can buy. If he's in it, it's instantly better. You're like, oh, that's Clancy Brown. It's instantly a better show or a better.
I don't think I've ever seen Clancy Brown floor in a performance.
No.
I judge off the top of my brain, like I cannot think of a single thing he was in and was like, oh, this is a low point.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the new one?
Attacked.
Oh, Shadow Boy. Oh, Shadow Baby. Good dog, Brie. But yeah, Clancy Brown is just this phenomenal voice actor.
300.
Trying to get to
similar vein to kind of Mark Hamill as well, in my opinion. How Mark Hamill is, I think he is underrated in my opinion.
Oh yeah, Hamill.
Hamill, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, he is Luke Skywalker, but he's
Is it just because because he was so well known for the Luke Skywalker and then the animated the voice acting, and then when he comes back now, he's just people see him as their roles, like because Luke Skywalker was such a popular thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's hard to have a career after. It's like Harry Potter as well. Like, after you've played a franchise role like that, it's hard to break out.
I think Daniel Radcliffe's
done a good job. Hell
yeah.
But look at Rupert Grint and look at Emma Watson. Like,
that's another. Obviously, Clancy Brown's one option, but Daniel Radcliffe is underrated. I think people do sleep on his performances a lot. Like Swiss Army Man is great. Horns is pretty decent.
Like,
the anthology series. Miracle Workers.
Is anyone with
fantastic?
This Shimi where
the one of Angels or something?
It's Miracle Workers, but it's a different thing. So it's the first season is Angels, the second one's the Wild West, the third one's the Above.
Oh, okay.
And it's all different characters. Like an anthology. Cool. Yeah, it's really cool. And then also, what you call it as well? My brain's just called blank. Something else he was in that was really, really good. Kill Your Darlings.
Oh yeah, I never saw that. Yeah, Hamill, I think. Like the Luke Skywalker thing, like that was so early in his career.
Yeah.
And then he was like hit by the car. Was he in a car crash in his face?
Yeah.
Is that just?
Yeah.
Is that just kind of more
generally,
lore or kind of like myth that he was like, oh, I use like lost confidence or something over because he think he had to get some plastic surgery or something.
I mean, it might be. I mean, you're known for your face as an actor, like any sort of injury like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, like,
I
it wouldn't
never
be
thought
like,
of that before, yeah.
people might think
Never
and
mind.
whatever.
Yeah,
but,
like-
I guess he also just like he's lucky to have any kind of a career after coming out of Star Wars. Really, like how like they all did well, but like people in those giant films totally just get like left behind and stuff. So
to like Harry Potter, like that.
and I get say how he's like he didn't really do an awful lot of live action. I think when he did some very low budget films in like the 90s and stuff. Now, but even now he doesn't like do dramas or anything really, or anything else. Like what have he acted in besides Star Wars in the last 20 years?
Kingsman.
Exactly.
Oh, he's physically in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of TV.
Yeah,
I think.
He was in The Flash as the trickster.
Yeah, reprising his role from the 90s one, isn't it?
From the 90s. But yes, Clancy Brown was the main one that I kind of picked because I thought, massively underrated, recognisable name, voice actor in a lot of films in the 90s, that kind of stuff. But yeah, still acting to this day.
I was going to go with Andy Serkis then. I'll steal yours. Kong himself. Like, I didn't realise he actually played Kong. He was King Kong.
Yeah.
He was the
Jackson's
motion
King
capture
Kong.
for his
Yeah.
Kong. He went from Smeagol to King Kong to
Caesar.
Oscar or something. Caesar.
Oh, come on.
I was close. No, but he's got a wild career, man. Like, I think he came out of the shadows from the kind of what's called the VH something. VXS or something, I don't know, the special effects place, and then coming into the real, because he's now Alfred in Batman, which I love.
Oh yeah,
he's the more kind of military Batman. He's more military Alfred. He's like, oh sir, stand up straight, sir.
Not bad impression, Chris. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No bad.
Speaking of like Sandman, the audio books, he's actually one of the main characters in that. I think he's like Matthew the Raven. So he's getting everywhere, He's not just he's a
working actor.
Yeah,
he works. He does do a lot of stuff. Yeah.
He was even in Andor. Like, he was great in Andor. I don't. Dan, you've not seen.
No, but I've heard he's great in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great.
Claw as well.
Oh
the most, in my opinion, the most wasted Marvel villain of all time.
Yeah,
great. Of course, he was in the Marvel movies.
Yeah, Ulysses Claw. He was in 2 Marvel films. He got Benjamin Montron in the first Black Panther film, and he gets killed off by the other villain in that film. We're not. That's a completely different topic for a long time. I think we probably talked about. Yeah,
but Andy Serkis.
Yeah, I know. In Andor, I kind of forgot about him, but yeah, he's great. He's kind of like nearly like a Gordon Ramsay type, but then you see he's afraid to he's such a prick to all of them, but then. I love that when they get that across and they show someone being an actual prick, and then they just kind of bring it round where, no, he's got his reasons and this is the situation or whatever.
What was fascinating for me, Andy Serkis, I think he does all these voices and all these motion capture stuff. He was on an episode of that, I think it's Lad Bible, unfortunately, but it's one of those YouTube videos where the celebrities do impersonations, and he was really shit. Like, he was really, really bad at impersonation.
Was he?
Okay. And I didn't. I was watching, I think, like, Andy Serkis is going to be amazing at this, and like, he was really bad. Like, really, really bad. I can't remember who he was on with. He was on with somebody. They were promoting each other. I can't remember what it was, and. Yeah, I think it was Idris Elba. I think it was him and Idris Elba. And
oh my,
that's poor. Really surprising.
Oh, that's
you know what? We have to talk about it because I completely forgot when I just looked up his filmography there. He was Captain Haddock in the
Popeye.
Secret Tintin.
Not Popeye.
Tintin, the Secret of the Unicorn, the Steven Spielberg film with Jamie Bell, the
motion capture,
the animated one, the motion capture, which I still think does hold up as a film. It's fantastic. Honestly, if you love Tintin, I love Tintin growing up. It's phenomenal. But that film as well is really good. But yeah, I completely forgot he's Captain Haddock.
Who is Tintin?
Which is
Billy?
Whispered in Blue Barnacles Tintin. Yeah, Jimmy Bell.
Oh, Billy. I was like, is it Billy? Isn't it?
Billy Elliot. Yeah, Jimmy Bell.
Wait, did he do that with Peter Jackson?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, did it by Peter Jackson, but it's Spielberg.
Is that kind of coming out after what was the Christmas Train movie? There's a connection to that because did Spielberg do that too? No.
Express.
Polar Express.
Polar Express.
Is that Spielberg? I never watched it. Yeah, it looked weird.
It's Robert Zemeckis.
Oh, okay.
It's Robert Zemeckis.
Ah, yeah.
Zemeckis, Back
Oh,
to the
but
Future.
really, yeah. Okay.
Oh, Tintin has that film has a Scottish connection. That's wild. Who worked on the screenplay for that film? Stephen Moffat,
Okay.
who is
Wow.
known for Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and Edgar Wright
Wow.
Edgar Wright, really?
worked on the screenplay for Tintin, Adventures of
That is
Tintin,
strange.
Secret Unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright's been great in this, but he got like the Ant-Man. He wrote that, and then he got he got left. It,
Yeah,
so
he
like,
left.
Yeah.
Must be a good
They never used it.
screenwriter.
I,
and
for-
just
I forgot Daniel Craig's in that film as well. Oh God, yeah, Jesus.
must have
yeah,
been like a
God.
rival. Was that not the year? But when did it come out? 2011.
2011. Yeah,
When was James Bond? Was he like?
he
was
scared
James
because-
Bond. He was
or
Bond.
in case
He
the
was
Bond
Bond.
franchise failed, he was at
He was-
Tintin. Was the way-
Was he Bond for like nearly 20 years already? Or something like 18 or...
Oh, I think it was. Was it the
Nice.
longest? Did he beat?
Yeah, I think
did
he's
he
the
beat
longest.
Connery?
No, if I'm not mistaken. Even though that time
When did he start?
doesn't seem the same amount.
When was it? 2006.
2006, yeah.
There was
So when
Casino
that came
Royale.
out last year,
Yeah, so he
I
was.
think it's 18 or...
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
2 years
shit,
ago now.
that's- Shit. No, my transit. Let me do it really quick. Fuck. 18,
I
yeah.
think,
18,
I think it is 15 or 16 years.
The 4 and 4.
Was 18?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Yeah.
But
Jason Segal. I think I might have mentioned this way back on the pod.
Oh,
Um,
Jason
But a
Segal's
very,
very
very,
good.
like for one
Would we
film.
call him underrated?
Huh?
Would we call him underrated? Like he was the lead in the How I Met Your Mother. What's a pretty
Uh,
big show.
How I Met Your Mother. I wouldn't call that being rated.
Ah.
Being in a sitcom. He wasn't the lead on
I-
the show.
Big sitcom.
I honestly think that he was an underrated actor, but only up until
Well, that-
recently because of Shrinking.
But is Shrinking that
Shrinking
good? It's like
Yes, Shrinking is like Ted
Really?
Lasso
Really?
levels of good. It's the same. It's made by the same guy.
All right. First I've heard
So,
it being
and it
compared
is-
that strongly.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
but say prior to
it's-
that, because
Oh, I fully agree with you. Like he was definitely the comedian.
it would say like
time.
so. Have you seen Freaks and Geeks? I'm assuming you have. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I thought he was amazing in that. He didn't do much then. The Apatow films as they came out didn't do an awful lot in them. He never really.
I love you, man.
Yeah. So like with even them like
Hobbit.
that was good and funny, and he was comedic and charming and stuff. But I'd never really seen him do any kind of serious roles. What was the other Apatow one? He was Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He wrote that.
What's
A bit
him
more
on?
drama to it.
Yes.
To be honest, I was seeing an article there. It was like, the Judd Apatow film series is just gone. I was like, I would totally still watch Judd Apatow films like all day if they kind of made them with the same kind of, I don't know, made them as much as they did. But he was in a film. It's David Foster Wallace. 1 second now. The film is called One for the Road, or sorry. 1 second now. So it's this guy, the writer that the book is based on, or sorry, that he's playing, David Foster Wallace. 2 seconds out. Sorry, I should have had this lined up.
Oh, I've seen that.
End of the
I
Tour,
know
I
what
think
you're
it's
talking
called.
about. He's playing.
The End of the Tour. Okay, so it's the End of the Tour. It's based on a period where this David Foster Wallace guy, you'd see him a lot in video, like he'd be talking about life and creativity and like depression and all this stuff. Sadly, he ended up committing suicide years later, but that's the kind of stuff he talked about. And he had a book called Infinite Jest, where it's kind of this real navel-gazily massive book, and it's supposed to be a lot of like kind of softy guys might have read it in the 90s, that kind of thing. But the End of the Tour is based on a Rolling Stone interview that was done with him, with this writer. For Rolling Stone, he basically just followed him on a book tour. And in the film, it's him and... What the fuck's his name? He's looking right at me. Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg.
And they kind of like, they get on, but they have this animosity, and there's just very strange vibes in it. But, like, I haven't watched an awful lot of footage of David Foster Wallace. Jason Segal, it's the first time I've seen him completely change for a role. And I, like, even looking here, Metacritic 82%, Rotten Tomatoes 92%. I was expecting Jason Segel to fucking skyrocket after that. I was expecting drama after drama after drama, and it just kind of didn't come. He's done some stuff, but I would even for me that film and Freaks and Geeks, which is like obviously his very first role or close to, if not. I just really think he should be fucking everywhere. You know, like it's dramas. Like, well, dramedies are always kind of like my sweet spot. I love that kind of stuff. But say even last week we were talking about Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach. I think he'd work perfectly in those types of films. Pretty much any of those kind of like indie darling type people, the kind of quirky Wes Andersons. I just think he could be used a lot more than he is.
It's interesting when you talk about kind of him. You think skyrocket the worst drama because a lot of the stuff he's been in recently. So you have like Shrinking. With him and Harrison Ford, who's done by the same guy as Ted Lasso. There's Our Best Friend, which has him and Paul Rudd.
Our Best Friend,
which is based. It's the one that's based off of it's an Apple TV show. It's the one that's based off a true story about the guy who's like a therapist. Paul Rudd's a therapist and basically like gaslights into becoming Jason Segel's best friend.
Okay, yes.
So who's his?
Does Paul Rudd kind of ugly up for it? I think I've seen.
Yeah, he's got a proper mustache set in like the kind of 70s and 80s. And then he's also in the Lakers TV show.
About Magic Johnson.
Yeah. He plays one of him and Adrian Brody play like two of the guys who took over the Lakers as I think it was co-management, that kind of style of the 80s, like Bird versus
Very
Johnson.
Good. I think he was in maybe a Prime series too, something to do with debt that looked kind of like it was probably weird. But I just kind of thought, particularly after so end of the tour was 2015. I literally thought like he was just like Stephen Ewan, say for example, he did The Walking Dead, then I can't remember the name of the film they did about the Korean immigrants coming to America, and maybe he did one or two other things before that. But his career, from going in like sitcoms and TV shows, once he got one role, he was up there. Or Dev Patel from like Skins, one film, he's up at that level the whole time. I just thought that was going to happen for Segel at that time.
Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire. Yeah, I get what I mean. Yeah, that kind of like stratospheric rise.
It seems like he is circling back around because while I haven't watched any of his recent stuff, I did see a little bit of Shrinking. He's popping up.
Because that's interesting because you put it this way, it's like he's obviously a very rated comedy actor, but he's a very underrated drama actor. Yeah. And I completely get that. That's a very but even like a good way to look
Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I thought was it's comedic but quite dramatic. I think at the same time.
It's How I Met Your Mother took up a lot of his career for a long time, man. Yeah. So see, when you were talking about the fact that after that film with Jesse Eisenberg, he did. I'm pretty sure he was locked in a contract with How I Met Your Mother.
That's like when the TV shows do films over the summer break kind of thing. You always see them, any popular TV show, you see actors popping up in these gammy films every November or whatever.
So because he went, How I Met Your Mother went from 2005 to 2014. The film you're talking about came out in 2015. So I think a lot of people probably still associated him with.
But look, he's coming back around now. He was my main one. I have another one if we do another round, but
I think we'll freeball it. Obviously, we're reaching the climax of the podcast episode.
I was just thinking there when you mentioned about comedic actors that do a sort of serious turn. Remember, a big one earlier on when we were mentioning how like actors that were underrated and then all of a sudden weren't. I'd say Olivia Colman. Years, she was again a job and actor working her way up, and then all of a sudden here's an Oscar role. Like she kind of blew up, and fair, I'd very much say she wasn't underrated. But actors that have done a kind of comedic thing and then with series, Glenn Howerton from Always Sunny, again, okay, he's been in that for years. He's been a star of that show, but I don't know if you saw the Blackberry movie that came out last year.
Is it good? It's incredible. The one with him
it's incredible. It's a brilliant film. Really, really enjoyed it, and he is terrifying in it, and he's kind of funny just how evil he is, but he is just an evil tyrant psychopath in it, and the way he plays it, it's not like Dennis where he's a psychopath but he's crazy. It's like, no, he's a psychopath and stay out his way because he's insane and he will like maybe physically kill you if he has to get what he wants. Like, he's terrifying in it. And again, just actors that kind of took a serious turn. I think are a big one. Another one kind of along those same lines, John C. McGinley, obviously Dr. Cox and Scrubs. I know again,
Oh, yeah.
Scrubs is a huge show, and he was a fairly big role. But see the episode, the episode always, whenever I go back and rewatch Scrubs, it always strikes me that episode with Brendan Fraser. Where spoilers if you haven't seen it, he spends the whole episode with he's his brother-in-law, and he's like really really friendly with him, two more like best friends. And then at the end of the movie, he's talking to Zach Braff's character, and he thinks that he's is it a birthday party?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
at a birthday.
Yeah, something like that.
And Zach Braff is like, "Where do you think we are?"
Yeah.
And he's
We
at
are,
his funeral, like he's actually at
Yeah.
his brother-in-law's funeral, and it's a really really devastating moment where you see it. You see the realization happen, and you just see this man just crumble. And then over the next few episodes, he goes through this kind of arc where he's like, he's not working, he's an alcoholic, he's hiding in the house, going through depression and stuff. And again, for a show like Scrubs to tackle that, and for him to tackle it so kind of head on and make it realistic, even though it's an outrageous show with all these dumb cutaways and stuff, I just thought that performance for that kind of small arc in that series, I think it's only 4 or 5 episodes, he just knocked it out of the park. And again, kind of, okay, you're used to him being a kind of shouty Dr. Cox, being funny, whatever, and quippy, but then when he's doing that stuff, you're like, oh my god, this guy's got range. Like, this guy can do more than one thing. You know what I mean? And then you watch Seven, and he's the macho army man in Seven when he shits himself when the dead body wakes up in the bed, the sloth and all that. He's a very underrated performer, I think, for that kind of thing.
Scrubs is very like. I loved it when it first came out. I remember being sick to death because he's always just be on Channel 4 or E4. But I really do want to go back and rewatch it because, like, as much as I appreciate things, X amount is going to be quite soppy. I thought they'd got some great, just emotional moments in the.
It's great. There's certain elements of it that are very of the time. The same with Friends. If you go back and you watch, there's a lot of kind of fat jokes, some slightly racist, homophobic stuff, sexist.
Yeah.
Like, if you can kind of get away with all that, there is some good in there. There is some good content in it. There's some good writing and good performances, but it's very of the era, and just the sort of thing that, like, it wasn't really funny at the time, and now in the hindsight, it's not funny. It's like, it's just a bit cringy to kind of sit through.
Well, I guess.
But
Colin Farrell's in an episode of Scrubs.
sorry.
JD tells all them to the cops, and then like a gang of them are just like, "We demand another sexy Irish man." That was bad. I forgot about that.
And just one more I want to find out before I've passed it is Simon Baker on The Mentalist. The Mentalist is a show that really lives and dies on his performance. Like, the rest of the show is okay. It kind of loses its way. It gets too spun out with the whole Who's Red John thing and the multiple like Joker cards that they pulled. But it was it's this guy. It's not really. He's just an apprentice. It was kind of like Saw at that point. You know what I mean? But Simon Baker's performance as that sort of quirky Sherlock Holmes character, the fact that I love that character because at the start of the show, his intention is, my family were killed, I'm going to find the person that did it and I'm going to kill him. And spoilers, that's how it ends. And there's no moment where he's like, don't do it, this is the wrong thing. Oh, you're right, I should let him live. Like, no, he said he was going to do it and then he does it. And that's really satisfying that a character actually stuck to his guns. And again, he's quite a, what's the word, like a contradictory character, because he's all through the series he's very against violence. Like, he never gets into a fight, he's always relying on his team to save him because he's just the kind of the brains guy, and then the brawn comes in and they tackle the baddies and put handcuffs on, and whenever he has to hold a gun he's always like, take this off me, I don't want to use a gun and stuff. So he's very anti-violence until he gets his hands on the guy that killed his family, and then it's he does what he set out to do. And it's just so many shows don't have the balls to do that, to sort of see that through. And his performance through the whole thing, he's funny, he's really, again, something's really tragic. There's an episode where he ends up getting spiked, like he drinks some sort of tea that's got, because he loves tea, that's this whole thing in the show, and he drinks this tea that's been like spiked with mushrooms or something, some sort of herb that's making him hallucinate, and he sees his dead daughter as she would be now. So like it's like 15 years later, so it's this 15-year-old girl playing his daughter, and she kind of helps him solve the case, but obviously he's the only person who can see her. And at the end of the episode, even though he's fully aware that it's in his head, she's like, I have to go now, and he's like, why? And it's like, well, she's not real. But that moment where he's like, why do you need to go? Like, he knows why she needs to go, but he can't accept it. Like, again, just a comedic actor, well, not comedic actor, but just he can do the whole, light-hearted, quippy stuff, but then when it matters, he can do the dramatic stuff as well. Shows the range, and I think he really carries that series because of that shit.
Right, we'll do a quick whip around. Chris or Jerd, one more each. Done. Right, Jerd, go for it.
Jason
Throw
Lee,
the last one.
is that his name? Mallrats. My Name is Earl.
Sure. I think I know who you mean. Yeah.
Mainly
Dogma as well.
Yeah.
Dogma.
But
Dogma.
I'm only mentioning this for Mallrats. He is one of in Mallrats.
Okay,
I think he is one of. Huh?
Not Jason Amy. Not Jason Amy.
I don't know that
The
as
other
well.
Kevin Smith film.
Yeah, no. Mallrats is just my
Jason
one.
Amy's great.
That's the one I really drew to. But yeah, if you watch Mallrats, like even possibly mentioned before the film came out, the other guy's the lead. When they like made the film and started promoting it, Jason Lee became the lead, even though he is the best friend character. I just thought his delivery the whole way through was on point. Like, as much as I like Kevin Smith, X amount of his stuff I find really cheesy. I think it's still not great. Like a lot of people would say, maybe it's not as tight as Clerks or whatever, and it is a bit messy because the focus is whatever. But I think it's a really good performance. And like, yes, he did get My Name Is Earl. I think for me, when like for an actor to be rated, I guess they kind of got to be making feature films, really, or high budget TV series consistently. So, like, I think sometimes what I find is you will see someone have a great role in a TV show, amazing. You could love that character for years because of it. You'll never see them do anything half as good again, and they're just, it could be many different reasons. But like, I think a lot of the times, it's an actor can be great in a TV show, just never cross over, or never cross into higher things. Yeah, Jason Lee, I think he's a good guy.
Jason Lee's fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna throw one out there that is a wee bit rogue.
Okay.
Oh.
Kind of rogue, right? Because he's not underrated now.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So I'm gonna pick one of the cast of Ted Lasso. And I could easily go for Jason Sudeikis, who I do love, but I don't think he's an underrated actor. I think he's underrated in that role, and obviously won the Golden Globe and stuff like that. But it's the one that I'm going to pick is Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent in Ted Lasso.
Oh. He was originally a writer, was he not?
He's originally a writer, but he is a massively underrated actor because he does play the same kind of character and all the stuff he's kind of been in, but he plays it so well.
He's like the Roy Keane character in Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Roy Keane. Roy Kent. Roy Kent. But that character arc for that character arc from those seasons is amazing. It's honestly, and it has one of my favourite scenes of television. If you're ever going to watch a show, watch it. It's fantastic. It's not really a spoiler. He's an older football player and he retires at the end of season 1. And season 2, there's this whole thing. He's a pundit for Sky Sports and he's watching the team play. It's so cheesy and so.
I haven't seen it. Just the fact that how close he is to Roy Keane is, I'm like loving it more.
Yeah, he's a pundit. He's a pundit for Sky Sports. And Ted has this whole thing where he takes him and he sees him and it's like, you can never convince me to come back to Richmond. I don't want to come back to the football team. I don't want to come back. It's that thing. And he's sitting, he's watching the team play. He's watching this player who he helped basically through a tough time. And it's this like moment of him looking and he realises that he's like, how I bet you miss not being out there, Roy. It's like, I really miss it and I have to go. And it's Jeff Sterling and Chris Kamara are there and he just turns to Jeff Sterling and says, I've got to go, Jeff. And Jeff Sterling gives him a nod and he runs and it's to She's a Rainbow by the is it the Rolling Stones?
Yeah.
And it is it's not that much dialogue in the scene, but it's just the facial expressions and the way he's moving and the way it is, and it's just it's just so good. It's if you watch any clip, that's one of my favourite clips from the show, and it's just him. Yeah, being
I've got one on. I was late to finish, but I've got one build.
Yeah, I honestly think he's a phenomenal on that show. He's fantastic and an underrated actor overall, in my opinion, but also a phenomenal writer as well. And he's been doing a few other things as well that he's pretty good in.
That's what I thought his voice. I was really shocked at his voice when you hear his normal voice. I was like, oh man, I think you're supposed to be Roy better. You sound so posh.
Just one true line I noticed there. A lot of the characters are that kind of Dr. Cox, Gordon Ramsay, hard ass guy that you get to know them a little bit. Yeah. So maybe that's the key. Just write a Gordon Ramsay, Roy Keane type. Yeah, gotta be a dick.
Exactly.
Then, yeah,
right, Chrissy boy.
No, there was one person that I didn't really know. I kind of noticed her, but it's from Ted Lasso, Hannah Willington.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's good.
yeah,
She is good.
She
phenomenal.
came from Game of she didn't
The
come
Shame
from, but
woman,
you
yeah.
saw in Game of Thrones with
Shame.
Shame. Yeah, and then she's moved into like I think it was Sex Education. She was one of the parents, and then
Yes,
she got Ted Lasso, which is like
phenomenal actress, man.
She's
Phenomenal.
she's transformed. Like it's kind of the same as Olivia Colman. Like she was rarely seen, and now she's like front and center.
I hope
I think
she
she had
gets
her
more
own
work.
show or something. Like she had like a
Yeah,
song and dance
she had a Christmas special, and all the Ted Lasso cast showed up. It was great. I hope she gets more work off the back of Ted Lasso.
Oh, she's got to. She's got
because
to.
she is a phenomenal actress. Juno Temple as well, who's in Ted Lasso, is also fantastic. She was in something recently, a big movie, where she played.
I don't know now.
God, aye. Sorry, hang on. She was in something quite big recently. Or she was cast in something. She was in Fargo.
Oh, the new season of Fargo, is it?
That was last ages ago.
I think she was. Yeah, she was in. Yeah, she did a few things, but I think she's
Venom 3.
Actress, so. But yeah, we
apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, shit! That's what I saw her get cast.
And Serkis is in it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh right, okay. I think the night is growing weary, and all the actors that are underrated we've talked about.
And we've got to Venom, so we got to go.
We've all been cast in Venom 3.
I just remembered there's one more thing I forgot from what I've been watching was the Hideo Kojima documentary. Recommend that. The Connecting Worlds, it's called. It is a bit. Let's all kiss Hideo's ass. He's a genius. He's this, he's that, and the next thing. But see if you want to see someone that really talk about. Yeah, like we started the episode. This is a nice booking actually, because we started the episode talking about people that don't give a shit about video games, like big studios that just want the money and don't have any passion. If you want to see someone who, even though he's operating at a huge level and he's got a huge budget, and Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen and Lea Seydoux and all these people, he's still got that burning passion where he lives to make games. Like in the thing, he mentions the fact that he kind of does, like, he dreams about it. Like he goes to sleep at night and he'll wake up and he'll be like, oh, that's a great idea. Or he'll do like he'll have a dream and he'll be like, I need to fix that. Like he'll wake up in the morning and he'll realise there's something in the game that he needs to go into the studio and like he genuinely lives and breathes that shit. And again, people on the show in the documentary even are like, when does he sleep? Like the guy's just all on. He's always working. He's always over. And again, like I think somebody else said, I think Troy Baker, obviously he works with a lot of different studios at this point and been in loads of different games. He's like, I've never met a director of a game as hands-on across the board, like from the writing to the animation to the performances to the editing to the soundtrack to everything that's involved. He's like, there's no, everybody else always passes it on to someone else, whereas Hideo has to be in the room and give the thumbs up before it goes in. And that's what he said. He said, like, the start of, also on all his covers, it always says a Hideo Kojima game, and people have kind of made that into a meme, like, but he basically says it means like that we can't cut corners, and everything in the game is, even though he might not have created it all, it's all been approved by him. It's all been ran by him. Everything in the game is what he intended to put in that thing, in that product. So I'd recommend going and watching that. Also, you've got people like Nicholas Winding Refn, Guillermo del Toro, like George Miller, loads of kind of directors and actors that pop up in it. It's
didn't he just announce like he's basically just doing his own Metal Gear? But like some espionage action thing that's coming out, or is that a film? I saw a video recently.
You want to talk about a guy that doesn't sleep? So he also made Metal Gear for years. He was kind of forced to keep going back making sequels, and then he made Death Stranding, this weird kind of delivery game which predicted COVID, which again they speak about in the documentary, the fact that he basically predicted COVID before it happened. And 9/11, like Metal Gear Solid 2 with the Arsenal Gear crashing it in New York City, and like 6 months before 9/11 happened. Like
maybe it's clairvoyant. Maybe maybe his dreams are.
The artist Shoji Shinkawa, he was saying, he's like, I always worry when I get a script video that's predicting something horrible. I'm like, shit, is this going to happen?
Do you watch his
YouTube
channel? His production company is a YouTube channel.
I've tried, but because Hideo only speaks Japanese, so it's all through a translator or some subtitled, it's a bit hard to do on the go. Like for that sort of content, like long form, I want to listen to that rather than watch it. So like if you're having to watch it with subtitles, it's kind of, you know what I mean? I've tried it, but anyway, no, but talk about a guy who doesn't sleep. He's announced that he's working on a horror game originally exclusively for Xbox, although that could change because we all know that that's up there now for Xbox exclusives. Called Overdose. He's also working on Death Stranding 2, and yes, he announced that he's working on our PlayStation exclusive, which is another tactical espionage Metal Gear type game. He didn't say
like,
that, but
if you see that much,
and
it's going to be.
It's basically his own.
he also called
take
it.
his IP
He
back.
also called it the culmination of his 40 years of experience in the industry. So no pressure, but it better be good, big man.
yeah.
Didn't say that. Like,
There we go.
so
Well,
worth a watch.
there's no better time to end at an hour and a half. Well, that's roughly what we're at, but due to cuts, it'll probably be a little bit shorter. But yeah, that's all right. Yeah, we're not talking
Not
about
bringing
it.
it up.
We're not talking about it. It'll happen. But yes, if you or anyone who's watching this has any sort of ideas about underrated actors they've seen or they kind of think are massively underrated, leave it in the comments below. You know, like, subscribe on all of the good audio platforms, or comment as well. I think that's an option, isn't it? Leave a review. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us. Do bad reviews still count as?
Give us suggestions.
Give us interaction.
Give us topic suggestions.
Yeah, if you think something we could change and topic suggestions, absolutely do that as well. But yeah, so I mean, it's been a long time since I've done an outro, so I feel like I'm kind of rambling here. But how do we finish now? Because that used to be
that's
see you on the
yours,
next page,
but you can do that when you're here, and then
That's fine.
So you do.
Okay, we can do it here, and then we can do yours. Okay, well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next.
Daddy's
page.
got a brand new spectrum. That should probably went first, but like, look, it's
That's just...
I hated that.